Let's talk about this concept of reducing overwhelm. So many of us are facing overwhelm right now, just feeling that stress, feeling that frustration, feeling that we're overeating, we're over drinking, we're depressed, we're anxious. We got all these things going on. And one of the things that I believe is causing that is this concept of blockages. And so often, one of the key things you can do to reduce your overwhelm is simply to analyze your life and say, where are there blockages in my life? So I've always been fascinated by the concept of water. When I was a little kid, grew up in a place where there was a lot of snow, and then it would melt, and all the water would come down the hill that was in front of my house and turn the corner right next to my house and then go down the street. And we had like a low place in front of my house that would collect that water if there was any snow or sticks or anything that was in the way. It would collect there and form ice. And then I had to go out and break up that ice because sometimes it would even overflow onto the sidewalk and all kinds of things like that. And what I learned fairly quickly was don't focus on breaking up the ice. Focus on eliminating the blockages so the water can flow down the road. And when I got rid of those blockages, the collection of water that was going to become ice when it got dark that night and cold, that water wasn't there to form that ice. And I learned that the way to save myself hundreds of hours of work, well, that's an exaggeration, the way to save myself a bunch of hours of work breaking up that ice was to spend 10 minutes or an hour breaking up the blockage that was causing the water to collect that turned into the ice. And that model has helped me throughout my life. So one of the concepts that's important is that I've discovered that most of us have something that's blocking us, or a whole bunch of somethings. And what ends up happening is when that blockage exists, we tend to have this nagging feeling, this inability to progress with our business because we haven't solved that blockage. So that blockage might be, I haven't got a good opt-in incentive or a good landing page that gets people to sign up for my newsletter. I haven't figured out who I want to serve. I haven't made the choice as to what I want to sell. I got my emailing list got too many old names on it, and so it's not getting delivered anymore. And so my email services shut me down. I can't send out emails anymore until I go solve that problem. So often there is a problem that exists out there that when you look at it, you say, if I could just solve that one thing, then so many other things happen. And so it's like, if I just had this thing done, if I just had that opt-in incentive, if I just had it in place in my business, I had that landing page there. If I just had this thing off my plate, that I really have to get this report written or this project done so that I can get that to my client and get paid. If I just had this emotional thing that I just need to get over or replace, if I just got that task done, then things would flow down the hill and I'd be able to not spend my time dealing with the consequence of the blockage. I'd be able to deal with the actual problems in my business as opposed to the consequence of the blockage. So oftentimes we just need to get rid of that blockage, and sometimes it just takes a weekend to do it. Sometimes it takes, going away for a week and retreat and just focus on that one thing. And sometimes it's just an hour or two. Oftentimes I find this is the case. I've blown this task, this project, this obstacle up in my mind to this giant gorilla that is there, that is going to take a small army to make it go away. And then I sit down and I actually do the task and I go, why in the world did I spend a month worrying about this, frustrating about it? It took me an hour to make it go away. So here's the thing I found about those blockages, is in our mind, it's always hard. But very frankly, in most cases, it's not. It's in our mind. Actually doing the work to get rid of that blockage isn't that hard. And what ends up happening is, because it's hard, it becomes something that you end up procrastinating in your life. It may be a tech challenge. I got to figure out how to do this. Oftentimes just Googling it will solve it in 5 minutes. Or just putting it go to YouTube and put that problem into YouTube, and you'll get a YouTube video that shows do this, do this, do this, do this. And you go do it, and 5 minutes later, the problem's gone. Yet you have been frustrated about it because you're thinking, I'm going to have to hire someone. I'm going to have to do all this to get this problem solved. And sometimes you can just do it. Or sometimes it's literally pick up the phone and call your buddy and say, hey, can you just tell me how to solve this? And they send you a bit of code that in an email, you drop it in, and all of a sudden the problem is gone. And I'm not saying that all our problems are simple. Don't get me wrong on that. Some of them are way simpler than we think it will be. Some of them are really, truly hard. And so some of those hard decisions hard things are like making a hard decision. My business is too complex. I've got to get rid of some of these things. And sometimes it's like deciding which child is your favorite. But you got these 10 programs you offer. Every one of them takes time and energy for you or your staff to deal with that. And sometimes what you got to say is, these 3 are not profitable. We're going to kill them. And sometimes that's hard, because those things may have been what got you out of a financial bind 3 years ago. And so they're favorites, they're children. And you don't want to do that. But sometimes you have to. Sometimes it's letting something go. This belief that I should be this. That maybe sometimes it's a belief that I should keep up with my friend who keeps releasing new programs and telling me all about them and how excited they are. And so then I feel like I got to do that same thing too. But in reality, you don't. And what happens is, when you go do that same thing, you just made your business more complex. You just added stress. You just added frustration to your life and to your business and everything else like that. Okay. Sometimes it's just facing the facts. You know what? This isn't working. I got to do something different. Or this employee has taken me so much time and effort. It would be better for me to let them go. But I really like them as a person. Well, sometimes you just need to face the facts that they are never going to fit into the corporate culture you want to have. And you need to stop having these ongoing frustration and arguments and everything with them. You just have to do it. So I want to invite you to do something here. I want to invite you to ask yourself the question, what if I didn't have that stress anymore? How would my life be different? And once you answer that question and you really realize the benefit of having that blockage gone, now, what is the fastest, easiest way to make that blockage go away? And then just do it. Make that blockage go away. And here's the other thing that happens when you make this blockage go away. So in front of my house, for those of you who weren't here right at the very beginning, I talked about how we had a hill that came down. The water, when it was snow, the water would come down the street and it would turn the corner, and then it would get in front of my house, and we had like the low spot on the street. And so the water would start collecting there, and it would create ice, and it would flood up over my sidewalk, and I had to go out and take care of that. And what I discovered was I had to get rid of a blockage. oftentimes was right there 10 feet away. But what ends up happening is when you get rid of that blockage, it's going to flow down the street a bit more and it's going to hit another blockage. And sometimes that blockage can back up all the way to yours. And so the process of getting rid of blockages is not a one-time thing. You get rid of this blockage and then you're going to discover that blockage and then you're going to discover another blockage. But as you make a concerted effort to get rid of your blockages one by one, pretty soon you become blockage free. Blockage minimized. And what ends up happening is that stress that is constantly on you because that blockage is there that you may not even realize is there begins to decrease. And all of a sudden, your life gets better. Your overwhelm decreases. Think about it. How can you make your blockages go away? Let me know your comments in the chat. This is Don Crowther saying, just go do this stuff.